When it came to Mudslide Slim, of course, the situation was incredibly different. You know, from James being an unknown artist, he'd become a huge star in the course of one album, and it was an exciting time. It was also challenging, for him, of course, for him and for me, to come up with a follow-up album. But James did have a lot of great songs. He was writing prolifically, and there were a lot of cool songs. We took a little more time making it, but nothing was radically different, really. We used many of the same musicians. By this time, we had discovered Lee Sklar, the bass player of our dreams, who James found. He's actually given me credit for finding Lee in some interviews, but he's wrong. He found him. He heard a band called Wolfgang. The band had been named Wolfgang in honor of their manager, Wolfgang, who was Bill Graham. That was his real name. And he'd heard Lee Sklar, and I remember him calling me up, saying how he'd found this, astoundingly great, fluid, creative, amazing bass player who remains that to this day. So we added him to the mixture, but the rest of the band was pretty much the same. It is interesting looking at the credits, there's all kinds of interesting additional people on it. John Hartford playing banjo, who's a great banjo player, and as you know, a great songwriter and all-around cool guy. Kate Taylor singing, Abigail Hannes, who was the lead singer in a band called Joe Mama with Danny Korchmar, and is a terrific singer.
It won't be long before another day. We're gonna have a good time.
One of the thrills about this whole remastering process has been not only the technical one, discovering that the original tapes are in really good shape and still sound great, and using some modern versions of old technology. When I say modern technology, not digital, but the super improved new equipment they have now, to try and make these records sound exactly how we heard them in the studio back then, which I believe has been accomplished. I'll tell you the story of one song on that record, which is the one that ended up being the biggest hit. After Sweet Baby James came out and did very well, we were due to play The Troubadour again. We'd played it once before, James by himself, sort of not quite sold out, people discovering him. And then Sweet Baby James took off, we owed them another gig. And I wanted to go back into the Troubadour for a week with this band who'd played on Sweet Baby James. So I asked the band if they might be available to do that, and all of them graciously agreed to do it, including Carole King. And James had an idea. He said to Carole, look, if you're gonna come and play with me at the Troubadour, thank you so much, that would be wonderful. No one's gonna know who you are. They'll think you're just some little girl playing piano in my band, which is what you look like. And they won't realize you wrote all these amazing songs that are the soundtrack of their lives, Up on the Roof and Will You Still Love Me Tomorrow and The Locomotion and Chains and all these incredible songs. Why don't you do a little set, an opening act, before I play at the Troubadour? And Carole, who was contemplating a solo career as an artist in addition to an incredibly illustrious songwriting career, said, okay, I will. So she agreed to do that. And on the opening night at the Troubadour, it was that afternoon that Carole was doing her sound check, preparing for her first ever solo show that night, just her and the piano on the stage. And she decided to run through a song she had just finished writing. And James and I were sitting in the balcony of the Troubadour upstairs, and that's when we heard this brand new song called You've Got a Friend for the first time anywhere. And James went crazy. He fell in love with the song, told Carole it was one of the best pop songs ever written, and asked if she'd mind if he learned it. And he did. He learned the song from Carole, worked out his own version, and eventually we did ask Carole whether she would consider letting James record his version, which I knew was against all the rules of show business because she was about to make her own first record and it was clearly an amazingly good song. But Carole, with exceptional generosity and grace, said that would be fine. I'd be honored to have you record it as well. So that's how it happened that James and I were recording this version of You've Got a Friend at Crystal Studios on Vine Street, almost at the same time that Lou Adler, Carole's brilliant record producer and great friend of mine, was producing her version of You've Got a Friend at A&M around the same time. We did have one secret weapon Carole did not have. We had some of the same band, but we had James's girlfriend at the time, Joni Mitchell, to sing background vocals.
You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am.
Which sound pretty cool. Anyway, both versions came out, and the miracle is that everyone came out a winner because James had the big hit single version all over the world, and Carol's version of You've Got a Friend, of course, became a key track on her miraculously brilliant and successful album, Tapestry. So everyone came out a winner.
Yeah, yeah, you've got a friend.